Welcome back, Dr. David E. Clarke here. I'm continuing my series based on my book, I Destroyed My Marriage. And this is now part 2 of why you have to leave your home. I'm going to talk about the questions people have. And there's great questions, actually, in terms of not leaving home. Why should I leave? Have you thought of this? I'm about to answer those questions. But first, I'm going to answer a question from a podcast listener. She says, and this is an email she sent to me at davideclarke.phd@gmail.com, Clarke with an E. Anyway, I just watched your video, What to Do If Your Narcissistic Husband Wants You Back. This is one of our recent Ask Dr. Clarke videos you'll find on the website. She says, thank you for this wisdom. Boy, anybody that calls me wise, I immediately like. I'm drawn to this lady. Anyway, listening to your list was discouraging. I had a list of things that the husband has to do to prove that he's going to, be different and repent and want you back. She says that list was discouraging because I know my husband will undertake none of it. Yeah, I'll bet he won't. I have tried, she says, variations of this in the past to his extreme indignation. I'll bet. This dirtball even showed her list a couple of his idiot friends, and of course they thought it was a joke. Just awful. He's disrespecting her. She also says, I know he will not do the leaving. Yeah, they hardly ever do, so it will need to be me. As you say, what he does with the list tells me everything I need to know. Well, she's got that right. Here's her question. Is it common for abused spouses like myself to backtrack multiple times when just about to leave the abuser? I am on the verge of leaving for the 4th time, and this is in a number of years, 10, 15 years. 2 of the other times I had a lawyer, our house was sold, and I collapsed. He did not ask me to stay. You know he didn't ask you to stay. I initiated the reconciliation unbelievably. Well, it is kind of unbelievable. So without knowing me or him, can you share a common reason the abused person would continue this cycle? As a matter of fact, yes, I can. Backing out is very, very common. So don't be too hard on yourself. It's extremely difficult to do, even though when you know intellectually it's the right thing to do. This is an emotional block. You mentioned, in fact, one of the main reasons in your email, I'm responding to this lady. Living with an abuser breaks you down, destroys your self-esteem and confidence. It withers you. So it is hard to muster the energy to leave, deal with the fallout, and build a new life because you're allowing yourself to be crushed on a daily basis. Another reason is the lack of righteous anger. I see a lot of sweet women. They're godly. They're sensitive. They're passionate, and so they feel the pain, the wound so deeply that what they do is get stuck in sadness and hopelessness and despair. The dirtball you're living with, he sleeps at night because he has no empathy. He doesn't care about you. So righteous anger is your friend. Get the book, Enough is Enough, How to Leave an Abusive Partner. This is critically important. An abusive spouse. If you're living with that, man alive, that book is your manual. It'll help you not only practically, but also emotionally get ready to leave and actually leave. I told this lady, and I'm telling you that are listening here, you can do this. Your life will be so much better. God is going to have no problem with you leaving. As a matter of fact, he wants you to leave. Now, it'll take time to heal and recover once you're out, but you can do it once you're out of there. So that is my answer to that lady's question. Now, if your marriage is in crisis, or you know someone whose marriage is in crisis, I'm your guy. That's what I do. I don't help marriages that are basically okay get better. That's not what I do. Now, I have books for that. Yes, you'll see those on the website. But what I really do, my expertise, is things are a mess. Your spouse has left you for bogus reasons. You've destroyed your marriage. There's been an affair. There's serious sin. You're living with an abusive partner. That's what I do. In almost 34 years of working with couples, I've seen it all. So everything's on the website, davideclarkephd.com, Clarke with an E. Let's continue with why you have to leave your home, part 2, and this time I'm going to answer questions. Good questions, actually, that spouses ask me when I tell them they have to leave. Because when I say you have to leave your home, I've never had somebody say, you know what, you're right, I'll do it tomorrow. No. They fight it, and I expect that because it's so hard. Now, I'm spending time on this because leaving is vital to getting your spouse back. It doesn't seem that way, but it absolutely is. Now, to complete my case for separation and immediate separation, here's a dialogue I have had with many spouses who don't want to leave their homes. And by the way, if you've stayed for months, it's not too late to leave. I don't care if you're getting divorced in 2 months. Leave. It'll give you a chance. Okay, here's the dialogue. The spouse asking me the question and, of course, my response. The spouse says, but separation will hurt the kids. My response, yes, it will. But divorce will hurt them a lot more. Watching the kids suffer may help your spouse see that divorce will significantly damage them. The spouse asks me, the one that doesn't want to leave, but I'll miss my kids. My response, I know you will. Of course you will. But saving your marriage is the higher priority. Your wife, your marriage to your wife is more important than your kids. That's what the Bible says, and that's what we're trying to save. The spouse asks me, well, but if I leave, I won't be able to show her my changes. I've heard that from a million guys and a million ladies. My response, by staying, you won't be able to show her your changes. It's just the opposite. By not respecting her need for space, you'll convince her you will never change. You can only show her your changes from a distance, and I'll teach you how to do that. And that, of course, is covered in the rest of the book, and you'll hear about it in some of these podcasts to come, based on I Destroyed My Marriage. If you stay, she will focus only on the negatives about you. And believe me, she'll find them. Every mistake you make, every word or behavior that offends her will cause her to think, see, same old spouse. He'll never change. Divorce is my only option. The spouse says to me, I need to stay so I can pursue her and win back her heart. Hey, that sounds good. It's not good. Pastors, biblical counselors without real training might fall for that, not me. My response to that is this: pursuing her in traditional ways is the last thing you need to do now. It will push her even farther away. Now, I covered the need to not pursue in a previous podcast. Check that out. You do not pursue in the traditional ways. You're going to pursue her like mad in indirect ways, but not direct ways. The spouse says, I've heard this a lot too, listen to this, but she's being nice to me and we're getting along in the home. You know what my response to that is? She's being nice to you only because she wants an amicable divorce. She wants to prove that you two can be friends after the divorce and that the kids will be fine. You do not want to be her friend. You want to remain her spouse. So she's nice, and this guy's thinking, well, we're getting along. I think maybe she'll think I don't have to get a divorce. No, just the opposite. Hey, we're getting along. Divorce doesn't mean anything. It'll work out. That's what she's thinking. Here's the spouse that says this: I have a legal right to stay. My response is, yes, you do. But morally and practically, you have to go. You gave up all your rights by hurting her so terribly. Here's another one. And this can be legitimate to a degree. The spouse says, I can't afford to separate. My response, you think separation is expensive? Try divorce. Find the cheapest place possible to live and cut your expenses to the bone. Ask your family and friends for money. Take out a loan. Get a second job. Go into debt if you have to. How much is your marriage worth to you? Saving even $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, is that worth it? Would you rather do that than stay married? Get out of the house. It's going to be very expensive. I know that. The spouse says, I think leaving will be seen as abandonment by the courts. I say, no, it won't be. With the guidance of an attorney, you can make it clear that you are leaving only to respect your spouse's need for space and to save your marriage. You will continue to provide financial support and see your children regularly. You give up no legal rights to your home by leaving, not under those circumstances. The spouse says, boy, but if I leave, she'll get used to living without me. My response is this: she might, but there is a chance she won't like living without you. Maybe, just maybe, she'll notice your changes and miss you. And again, that's always noticed at a distance, never right in her face. Spouse, once we separate, divorce is inevitable. I've heard many pastors say this, well-meaning Christian counselors. It is baloney. My response is this: no, it's not. It is not inevitable when you separate. That is a myth pushed by so-called experts and social media and Christians who don't know what they're talking about. Try doing this for 34 years and you'll know more. The truth is, if you stay at home, divorce is inevitable. Quite the opposite. The spouse says to me, oh, Dave, but look, my family, my friends, and my pastor are all urging me not to leave. I've heard this a million times. My response is this: where did these persons get their PhDs in psychology? Seriously. Do they have a specific tested plan to save your marriage? They are well-meaning and they're godly, I have no question, but they are dead wrong. Listen to me and get out of your home quickly. One more comment from the spouse who doesn't want to leave after I've made my pitch. I don't think things are bad enough for me to leave home. I don't think she's going to divorce me. My response is this: I'm looking at the poster child for denial. She told you she doesn't love you anymore. She told you that she's had enough. She told you she's numb inside. She told you she wants a divorce. Listen to me, she's going to divorce you unless we can stop her. Repeat that after me. We can't stop her if you don't leave your home. I wouldn't urge you to leave your home unless it was absolutely necessary. It is. I've seen no exception to this in 34 years of counseling, clinical psychology counseling. If there is any lingering denial in your mind that the divorce will happen, and I'll bet there is, I want to wipe it out right now. Now listen to me closely. The thought, I don't think she's going to divorce me, is inaccurate and wishful, and it causes many spouses to delay following my plan. And the longer you delay, the less chance you will save your marriage. Whether your spouse has filed or not, I know you don't want to accept the awful truth that she intends to divorce you. You're working hard to convince yourself that she will not pull the trigger and end your marriage. She may say things that make you think she's wavering and not completely certain about her decision. She may say, I don't think I can go through with it, meaning the divorce. This is not what I wanted. This is very hard on me. You know why? I wanted to grow old with you. These statements don't mean squat. She is only buying time to get all her ducks in a row and be totally prepared for the divorce, help you adjust to the divorce, get the best divorce deal, money and custody she can, and maybe gather enough money to see her through the divorce process. Also, her I'm not sure about the divorce act is intended to show others that she is struggling with the decision and is trying to give you a chance to change. It makes her look good and eases her guilt. And this is even a good person. I'm telling you, that's psychological truth. Read this next sentence very carefully. Unless she says to you, I don't want a divorce, I will not file, or I will suspend the divorce process this week, today, as a matter of fact, and I want to see a counselor to work on our marriage, she is divorcing you. Listen to me closely. Embrace the cold, hard truth right now that your spouse has decided to divorce you. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. If she hasn't filed, she will. If she has filed, she has no intention of changing course. I hope and pray you agree that you must leave your home as soon as possible. Let me explain exactly how to leave. I'm not going to tell you what to do and not tell you exactly how to do it. So on my next podcast, we'll begin a process of telling you exactly how to leave. You need a clear separation agreement, and I'm going to help you develop that. David E. Clarke, Clarke with an E,